Food has dramatically evolved over the years. A lot of recipes don't really stick around and are kind of lost through history, which is why today we're taking a very important look at the past to make, taste, react, and rank some of the most famous and formative vintage recipes using our internet tier ranking system. The question is, are any of these worth bringing back? Did they really influence us as much as we think they did? Could we be missing some of the greatest foods that have ever existed? Well, there's only one way to find out, so let's make this, shall we? This one I think many of us have seen before on the internet. It's an image that looks kind of like this. And you might be thinking, that must have been a meme, that's all a joke, right? It's not. It's called ham and bananas hollandaise. There's no way this is gonna be good. Peel all your bananas. I always thought these were just wrapped in ham, which already is abysmal, but that's not actually true. You take the ham and you brush it with mustard first. Take a banana and ruin it with a slice of ham, and repeat with all your bananas, layering them into your baking dish in a straight line. Who the came up with this? Hot oven for about 5 minutes, take it out. It looks abysmal. You'll then take a nice quality hollandaise and pour that right over the top for some godforsaken reason. And back into the oven, another 5 to 8 minutes. I don't know. This really does smell unique. This is a combination of scents I'm not sure I ever want to smell again. Sorry, I almost threw up. Ta-da! Welcome to hell. I don't want to eat this. This should just get an F so we can move on. I guess I'll taste it for the sake of being polite. This is the worst thing I have ever put in my mouth in my entire life. That's an F. Now that the internet has finally seen someone legitimately make this, we can now put this to rest. The combination of banana, cured ham, the acidity from the hollandaise, oh, and let's not forget the funk from the mustard. I want you to think of the last time you threw up and what that tasted like, probably in that realm, or potentially identical. I would literally rather eat human flesh. Moving on. Pizza. This is what was once a famous Campbell's recipe, hence why we're using Campbell's tomato soup in this. We have ground beef. You add 1/4 of your tin of this gelatinized tomato sauce, followed by onion, garlic, oregano, salt, breadcrumbs, and 1 whole egg. You're gonna mix that up by hand until thoroughly and evenly combined. Is this the world's first keto recipe? Sheet tray. You're gonna use your foil to then sort of build a circular wall. This is what they recommend. I'm gonna guess because there's probably gonna be an ocean of grease. As your beef mixture, press that out, and well, you're gonna form it into a pizza shape for whatever stupid reason. Why can't we just eat pizza? I mean, I'm essentially making a meat pizza crust. My fear is without that, this will not hold our ingredients. Now at this stage, we're gonna add our tomato soup, which we will then spread around. And then in 3 different zones, you're gonna add a mound of cheese, and then that goes into a 450-degree oven Fahrenheit for supposedly 15 minutes, which I feel like is not enough. Here we go. Wow, pizza time. I mean, it does kind of look like the ad. What the f was going on during this time? All right, I guess we let this cool and then we'll slice up our pizza and enjoy. Here's the thing, it looks off. It smells a little odd, but in reality, this is like essentially a meatloaf. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? The other thing is like if you're at Chuck E. Cheese and you hold this up and you're like, have fun, kids, haha. Let's taste. It does taste pretty good. It's nothing like eating a pizza, but it is sort of a fun-shaped meatloaf with cheese. The one thing I don't like about it is the Campbell's tomato soup on it. If you did a nice tomato sauce on this, it'd probably be pretty good, honestly. But if it were me, I would make this into a meatloaf, slice it, sear it, serve it with tomato sauce on top and some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano. The idea of this, the flavor of this, it's not terrible. I'm gonna give this a B. Not bad. Should we bring it back? Yes and no. I think in the modern form that I just previously described. Moving on. The pineapple upside down cake, something I actually love. This was the winner of a Dole pineapple recipe contest. It specifically asks for cake mix. This is a vanilla cake mix, very simple, and all you have to add is eggs, water, and vegetable oil. Then you just let it rip, dude. Whisk it up. The thing I like about cake mix is I just throw that together. I don't even try to make it cohesive. I just kind of like do it and spray and pray, you know? And just like that, you have cake mix. Light brown sugar and butter. That gets mixed together. I would add a touch of salt to this. Stir it thoroughly and then pour into a cake pan, ideally non-stick. Now we have Dole cut pineapple. You can also do this with a fresh pineapple, but we're following the directions. So line your cake pan with your pineapple. The goal here is to really fill this out as edge to edge as possible. Try to keep it in one single layer. It's important that this has full contact with the pan. If it doesn't, it will not caramelize properly. You put the little cherries in the holes, so cute. And then finally, our cake batter we made earlier. Carefully pour that right on top. Do not spread this around. If you spread it around, you're gonna mix your caramelized bottom. You don't wanna do that. What I'd recommend is just letting this settle. You can gently coax it to the edges, but be careful not to push it around too aggressively. And now into the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, we have our finished upside down cake, but wait a minute, you gotta turn it upside down, brother. Plate goes on top, and you're gonna carefully but quickly invert. Go get some juices, that's all right. That's from the pineapple. Give it a little knock. If you have a blowtorch, my recommendation, give the top a quick one of these. That will help release the pineapple. Caramelized and beautiful. But it looks nice. Let's slice it and eat it. This is great. I love this. I'm not a huge cake guy. That said, this makes me want to eat more cakes. First of all, the actual cake part is kept super duper moist, fluffy, melts in your mouth. It's kind of protected by this layer of caramelized pineapple, which is juicy yet chewy. It's candied, it's a little acidic, which helps provide some balance. This to me gets a solid A tier. Should we bring this back? I'm not sure it ever, the light went out. Should this come back? I'm not sure it ever went away. No, it's back. There's your answer. If it's gone away, it should come back. Moving on. Sloppy Joes. A Sloppy Joe was originally just ground beef, tomatoes, onions, Worcestershire sauce simmered together, but it didn't really become famous and popular till a certain company came around and made something amazing. Manwich. And this is what all the ads, the vintage images of Sloppy Joes was made with this. So that's how we're making ours. Hot pan, ground beef in. So I'm pressing the pan, give full contact for at least one good seared side. Just a touch of salt to taste. Honestly, I have no idea how salty the Manwich stuff is, so I'm gonna go light on the salt and pepper. Sear 2 to 3 minutes. Give a little flip. Oh yeah. Use a potato masher if you want it finer, which I would highly recommend. Mash it as finely as possible. Now I like my Manwich to have extra flavor, so make sure to let this sear for a little longer. Get a little Maillard. I hate this. This, your Manwich, I guess Sloppy Joe mixture, whatever the hell it is. Gonna go in and just let it simmer. I mean, really, it doesn't smell that bad, but my first impression is ketchup. It's pretty much done at this point. You can let it simmer for like 5 minutes, and then you put it in between 2 buns, which we'll do right now. Untoasted bun, your Sloppy Joe mixture, generously, and your top bun, also untoasted. Plating this is quite simple, disturbingly simple. I don't know what's worse, the term Sloppy Joe or loose meat sandwich. What the f were they thinking back then? I'm gonna be really real here. It's not bad. I'm not eating this and I'm not gonna like go and spit this out in the trash, but I will say this is a combination of almost everything that I hate that comes essentially in a burger, which is I hate burgers with straight ketchup on them. And that's what you're getting here. It's all soft, there's not much texture to it. The best part, honestly, is the bun. When I eat it, all I'm really picking up is like burger / beef flavor and ketchup. I'm not gonna give this an F, believe it or not, but I am gonna give it a D. What might be good is maybe like braised short rib torn up with like a romesco sauce or something. That would be good, but that just wouldn't be sloppy enough for you, would it? Moving on. The water pie. This came from the Great Depression era. It was also called depression pie. Well, it is more literal than I thought it was. This version of the recipe is the OG recipe, meaning there was no salt and no vanilla extract added. You got a prepared pie crust, any crust, either all butter or whatever, in a pie tin. In a medium-sized bowl, you're gonna add sugar and flour, all purpose. Whisk that together till thoroughly combined. Set that to the side. Pie crust, boom. And water. This feels wrong, but you know, here we go. It really does make me think, God damn, that was a tough era. You got a pie crust filled with water in front of you. And I'm not even making a joke. I mean, really legitimately, I'm like feeling sad. We're gonna sprinkle the flour sugar mixture directly over that, just like this. It specifically says not to stir. Okay. This also does show the ingenuity of humanity though. In a time where they basically had nothing, they figured out still how to make pie. That's in there. And then finally, butter, which is a surprise that they had. I feel like this is a luxury ingredient, but whatever. Butter goes directly in, like so, into the oven at 400 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, then 375 for another 30, and we'll pull it out, see how it looks. Once this has been baked and chilled in the fridge overnight, we're ready to try it. It looks actually kind of nice. I'm surprised. This also took multiple tries. Just generally, the way this recipe is supposed to be followed is questionable in a lot of ways. The lack of mixing, etc. Sometimes it congeals and turns out, sometimes it doesn't, but I get that this was a necessity item. So is it good? No. Holy f***. Wow, that's rough. Here's what I'll say. I respect and have empathy for how this item was created. You could just taste the story in this. And by that, I mean, there's just a lack of so many things. This is what they had. Water, sugar, you put it in a pie and make it happen. It's amazing that this pie comes together, but it's almost like a pie with nothing. It's like the idea of one. It has the texture almost of like pecan pie, that sort of like gelatinous, custardy, crystallized sugar paste. But the flavor is not brown sugar, butter, and pecans. The flavor is just plain white grain granulated sugar. For ingenuity though, it's amazing. People still pushed on to try and make something delicious, and that I have love for. But man, I would not make this again personally unless I had to. I'm gonna give it a D. I don't think it deserves an F just because it's an example of the human spirit in the culinary world refusing to be crushed, and that deserves anything but an F. If you wanna make it and try it for yourself, go ahead. Just be aware of what you're gonna get at the end of the day. Moving on. Spam ribbon loaf. Essentially a whipped flavored cream cheese. So we're gonna start with that. Softened cream cheese, touch of salt, little grated onion, parsley, and lemon juice. Whisk that together till thoroughly combined. And then it's already quite thick as it is. So to loosen that, just a touch of cream mixed with a little bit of milk for some reason. Once that's thoroughly combined, you're ready to spread. Spam, evenly sliced. Just spread it on each piece, and then just rinse and repeat. And then take plastic wrap and essentially cater wrap these so that they're congealed together. And essentially what you want is to evenly spread out the cream cheese, get it to glue completely shut. Repeat that with as many slices as you want. Chill in the fridge overnight, and then you slice. Wow, this looks like cream cheese and Spam. It's actually not bad. This kind of reminds me of almost like a French terrine or a pate, right? Which is typically served cold, but I love the saltiness, the fattiness, I love the creaminess, a little bit of flavor from what's mixed into the cream cheese, like some scallion or garlic. I kind of like it. It feels a little French. I don't like how thick it is. It's just like this block of meat I don't really know what to do with. Maybe the block is made and really chilled hard and then sliced thin. I would say this with some toast, maybe like a nice like radicchio salad, like a super vinegary acidic one. So I'm gonna give this a C. Yet again, use that noggin and modernize it. What I'm about to show you may shock you. You may have never heard of it. You might have seen it in cartoons. Anyone who has ever worked in the culinary arts might know what this is. It's called an aspic. That is a congealed gelatin or jelly, typically made from stock, to encase other ingredients that is placed in a mold, like a little cake, a jelly cake. This has been around for a really long time, actually. It goes back to like the 1300s, and it had a huge resurgence in the 60s and 70s, which I think people generally regretted because we don't see them very often. Small bowl, gelatin, cold water, and you're gonna give that a little whisk and let that sit for a couple of minutes. Once your gelatin is bloomed, by bloomed I mean it's no longer really in a liquid state, we have our hot chicken stock here. That's gonna go directly in. Now we have a greased silicone mold. Silicone is really important because it makes it easy to get the gelée out of there. So you're gonna pour this into your mold. Now we're gonna pop this in the fridge just until it reaches a syrupy consistency, which is like around 30 minutes, and then something special gonna happen. Now this has been cooled for this one, and we're gonna be doing multiple. I'm gonna add red bell pepper, which has been roasted and peeled around the edges, and then floating throughout I have some black olives, and you can kind of place them to be suspended at different heights. And you just repeat this with any kind of aspect, with any vegetables. You can do peas, you can do olives, you can do steamed broccoli, roasted chicken breast, steak for all I care. Just stuff floating in gelatinized stock. And once you've done that, you'll place it in the fridge overnight to completely gelatinize and solidify. Then we'll try it. Yeah, this took several attempts from us. I say us because it took literally multiple people to figure this out. I don't know why this was ever an invention in the first place. Here we go. I don't even know where my knife is. I actually don't even want to eat this. I just want to do this all day. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a cross section from hell. I don't want to eat this shit, man. Jesus Christ. I'm trying not to throw up. Let's go back to the question, should this be brought back? Fun fact, it never went away. This is still a thing in fine dining. I've had gelées and aspics, and I will not intentionally seek them out again because I've never really liked them that much. And this is another reminder as to why that exists. Taste-wise, it's actually not bad. Whatever you put in there, whatever the stock is, it's gonna taste like. It'll taste like meaty, unctuous, whatever you imagine a soup broth to taste like, kind of that. And then of course there's whatever's inside it is gonna taste like what's inside it. So if you've got braised meat or poached chicken or olives, it's gonna taste like and have that texture. What really throws it out of proportion is the fact that everything is A, cold, which sometimes is good, but not in this context. But B, and this is the worst part, when you chew it, you have the exact same texture as Jell-O, which then liquefies into a semi-fatty, semi-thick liquid due to the gelatin and viscosity of the broth, and that's not enjoyable. It's an F. Moving on to the next. Spam upside down pie. Honestly, kind of sounds like it might be fire. This was published in Life magazine sometime around World War II. So if there was a time that you were gonna get, a little crafty, get a little biscuit dough, got a little spam upside down pie. Biscuit dough, flour, baking powder, sal, give that a little whisk, chill, shortening. You're gonna cut that in to your biscuit dough. I also, by the way, hate shortening in biscuits. I think it's a horrible addition, but this is what was utilized typically back then. And I want to keep this as traditional as possible. The right way to do this would have been to use butter. I'm going to add in some small cubed Spam, mix that in. This is Spam on Spam. I love it. And then we're going to add in milk. I would use buttermilk personally, so you get a rough biscuit dough. Circular non-stick cake pan. You're gonna line the whole thing with Spam. Does this feel wrong? Sure does. I love Spam, you know, I'm actually a big fan of it. I've said it before and I have no problem saying it. This feels a bit like an abomination, but it also could be very good, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we have our biscuit dough. This feels a little drier than the one that they used in the images. Theirs looks almost like a batter, but I'm hoping that this higher fat ring provides a little bit more structure. Press it out, make sure it fills that bad boy out nicely. Into the oven at 425 Fahrenheit for 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, we pulled this bad boy out of the oven. It's sliding around, so I'm gonna give it a quick flip carefully. It's very hot and I'm burning my hand. Look at that, dude. This looks quite nice. I kind of like it. You got the beautiful Maillard looking lovely. Now, typically the way they would serve this is they put a little bowl in the center, just like that. Into that bowl would usually be served with a little cheese sauce. A little unusual, but I don't hate this at all. These are things that I love. You got a rich biscuit dough. It's got a nice crust on it. We got the Maillard on this bad boy. I like it. So let's taste it. Wow, that's crazy. You just give this a little dip in your cheese sauce and enjoy. Oh yeah, big fan of that. I had a feeling this was gonna be good. Even without the butter, I'm blown away by how good this is. There's a couple caveats to this. You have to serve this hot, fresh out of the oven. You have to. But if this had butter in it, my God, I don't think that this gets better, and it's so ugly. First off, the biscuit dough, super nice. It's kind of helped kept moist by the Spam inside of it, which isn't as obnoxious as you would think it would be. You don't even really detect that it's in there. It's just helping flavor the biscuit dough. It's moist, it's hot, it melts in your mouth. It's not chewy at all. It's beautifully tender. It's also got some crispiness, and these beautifully brown pieces of Spam have rendered out a lot of their fat, so they're not so greasy. They're really nice and tender. It's almost like a little Spam filet mignon, but it's caramelized, it's salty, it's rich, but not too rich. And then this cheese sauce kind of helps tie it all together. I'm sorry, but I would absolutely make this again. Honestly, this is an S tier. I don't care what you say. I don't care how ugly it is. It looks weird. So what? This is deserving of an S tier out of anything I would make here. Yeah, sure. It was a weird time back then. There were some creations that were extremely questionable. This is one of them, but it also was really f***ing good. Sometimes it's good to reach back into the depths of the past to discover the present and the future. I love you. Subscribe. Goodbye.